to my page. If you're new here, what's up? My name is Jonquel and I'm an artist, and right now I'm working on this new series I'm calling Coffin Girls. But you know what? I'm from Louisiana, so I'm gonna actually refer to them as Casket Girls now, and I'll explain that later. But you know, for you guys that have been rolling with me, you know that we're getting ready to work on part 2. And I am, let's zoom in. I am so excited for this one. So make sure, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button. If you like what you see, make sure to leave me a comment. And also just hit that like button. It don't cost nothing to hit that like button. So let's get into it. So we've already painted the base of this painting. Oh, stop zooming in on Jessica. Zoom in on the main character. We've already painted this with gesso. We painted this with clear gesso so that we have a nice tooth to paint on. Because if you just paint on this regular, it's not going to want to adhere. I had to switch cameras. It kept wanting to zoom in on the background. That's not how we work. We have to stay on the main character. Always the main event. But anyway, like I said, I painted this with clear gesso so it would give my background a little bit of tooth to it. And you could also just use white gesso particularly if you know you're gonna cover the full thing, which I am. But you know, I'm extra, I'm fancy, and I didn't want to spend my money on white and clear, so I just got clear because it works anyway. So we're about to get into this girl, and I've been trying to think of what her name is going to be. I don't know. I'll think of it throughout the video. But if you have any suggestions, let me know. Okay, y'all. Let's just get into this. So while I'm painting, you're watching me bring this beautiful casket girl to life. Let me tell you about some Louisiana folklore, because nobody do haunted like New Orleans do haunted. Okay? So let me tell you the story about the casket girls, because many believe that these were the original vampires of New Orleans. So the story goes that the founders of New Orleans arranged to have young women come over from France as wives. Why, I don't really know, but it's kind of irrelevant to the story. Now, when these girls arrived, they came with their belongings in small caskets. I guess it was their version of like a spend the night bag. And some people believe that these were fine young women. Other people thought they were just orphans. And some people believe they were just straight up prostitutes. Now you're probably wondering how they got the name Casket Girls. Well, if you traveled on one of them old boats across the seas, you were probably forced to even go on this venture anyway, because you don't even know what type of man or land you going to. There ain't no modern conveniences. You probably seasick, you hot, you tired. I'm pretty sure coffee wasn't even invented back then. They probably was tea drinkers, and that's not going to hit the spot. So by the time they arrived to good old New Orleans, they looked a little big. Midway here. So, oh, Lord, this is quite a scroll up. Oh, my. So I had to lift the easel so I can get this in the shot. But I have to be careful because you see how close the ceiling and the fan are to my easel. So yeah, when you're buying one of these big things, and this is the H frame, I got this from Michael's, make sure you measure the height. Also, I wanted to show you this like little trick. I don't know if you guys know how to do this with acrylic. I'm just showing you what I do. So before I dip my paint in the color, especially if you're using a dry brush, you always want to charge your brush with some water, because have you ever painted with a dry, fresh brush and it just seems like the paint is getting soaked up? Like it's just not spreading the way you need it to spread? That's because you didn't charge your brush. You want to dip your brush in the water and you want to hold it there. You want to make sure that it's, you want to wet the tip. You want to make sure that it's nice. And this sounds dirty. Like I'm trying to find a professional way to say this, but it could be just my mind, but this sounds so dirty. Anyway, you want to make sure that the brush is wet, and I'm just going to dab it off a little bit because I don't want it to turn my thing into watercolor. That way, when I actually take it and paint, it'll spread better. So that's a little tip. Anyway, we're going to get back into it. I'm going to do her stockings. Oh, and let's look at the original. So this is our original. This is what we're working for right here. So this is the original. Okay. Oh, and shameless plug. So we have a bookmark of her available on my site, jonquel.com, because as you know, these right here are going to be pretty pricey, but this is affordable for everybody to be able to enjoy my artwork, you know, no matter what your budget looks like this holiday season. And, you know, I'm going to eventually put Afterpay on my site. So, hey, you're going to be able to get the real thing. But until then, they have these. And I'm going to see about having large poster prints as well. So please go to my website. Check these out. I have one for every girl. Go to my site.
Now back to our story. So the Ursuline, I think I'm saying that right, the Ursuline convent was supposed to house these girls, you know, just keep them there until they were married. And they were told to take the caskets and to put them away, but they were not supposed to open them. In fact, they were not supposed to open them until they were married, which, side note, that is definition. Don't let him know what he getting into until after you got the ring. One day when they went to lift the caskets, they felt very, very light. So they ended up opening them anyway, only to find them empty. And so some believe that maybe those caskets actually had dead people in them at one point. So you know what they do in the Catholic Church and the nunnery. So what they did is they barred all of the top windows where they were keeping the girls, and they had it nailed shut with nails that came blessed from the Pope himself. I'm like, dang, y'all had to go ask the Pope for help? Like, the Pope, he ain't got other things to do, like exorcising demons? Like, so stuff was really getting real. Now, they did this because apparently there was a lot of sketchy activities going on at nighttime in New Orleans after these women arrived, and they just couldn't figure out what it was. So, you know, they knew in town, so they just went ahead and said, okay, we're just gonna bar them up. And they were hoping that would stop everything. Now, to this day, they still speculate if the girls brought vampires with them in those caskets, or the girls themselves, were the actual vampires. And then that would kind of make sense as to why France turned them over. Because what if they really were vampires and they were terrorizing France, and they was, you know, they were getting ready to be found out. So they just got sent to New Orleans. Now, interesting enough, to this day, locals that live in the area will not walk past that convent at night. Which makes sense, because if you know anything about people who in New Orleans, we are superstitious as hell. What we don't do is play with no damn spirits. Because to y'all, it's all movies and Anne Rice books. But to us, we got to live here. And we ain't playing with them people like that. So the locals actually believe that those caskets are still in there. And that's why even when they have tours where you could walk the convent, you're not allowed to go to the third floor. Now, why aren't you allowed to go to the third floor to this day? To this day, only one person, the person I think who runs the whole thing, it's a French word, I don't know the word, has the keys to get up there. Not that I want to ever go up there, but why? Why is it still, what the hell? And let me tell you this little bit that I've heard from a tour guide. So, you know that hurricane that hit us? That big one? Katrina? So when Katrina hit New Orleans, after devastating the city, the winds blew one of the shutters off of the third floor. The ones that was nailed down with the holy nails. And so they flew a priest from the Vatican in with more nails to shut it back. What is the Conjuring going on in there? Like, why is the church so this the thing about New Orleans. See, this stuff really be real. Like, as much as you want to be like, oh, that's not true, the church think it's true. The church think it's true, so I think maybe we need to think it's true. Now, you would think with all that information, right? You would think, and we're gonna go back to a few years ago. Um, you think with all that information, with them nailing that shut, with the people from the Vatican, that people would stay out of there? But no, because everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame, and everybody want to be on TV. So two ghost hunters want to call themselves testing the theory. That's what I hate when people want to test theories. Like, leave it alone. Leave it alone. So anyway, they want to test a theory. So they saw that one of the doors was kind of left open one night. So they went ahead and they snuck in there. And they found their bodies the next morning drained of blood. Now that's two deaths that didn't even have to happen. Because you knew that something was going on. Everybody in that city knows. And I bet you any amount of money these people from out of town. Because I'm telling you, locals don't play like that. So, drain the blood. Now, according to the archdiocese, that room up there, the third floor, that's just a headquarters. It's just storage, ain't nothing going on in there. But I'm like, if you could see the look on my face right now, like, stop playing games with me. Stop playing with my intelligence, okay? But of course, nobody really believes that, nobody really believes that, oh, it's just storage up there. They want to find out for themselves. So there are people who literally go over and over and over the blueprints. And I'm quite sure there's several people trying to sneak in. But as of right now, I believe that it's boarded up completely. And I don't even know if they're doing the tours right now, but I'm going to have to look into that because I haven't been to the city in a minute. But there you have it. The story of the New Orleans Casket Girls. These girls who were brought from France to this new land to be wives. Which is, it's like, I guess, the old age bachelor. But then they brought them here to be wives. And they put them in a convent, the Ursuline convent. And everything just went awry. Like, that convent had no clue what they were bringing in. And that goes to show you that they really need this. That's when they really probably started doing research on people before you brought them in. And that's another reason you just don't let people in your life. Because you just never know who you inviting in. So what do you all think? That's my question. Do you think this is where vampires originated? Do you think that they came on this boat from France? I mean, it is kind of weird for girls to come over with actual caskets and finding the people with all of their blood drained. Like, you gotta admit something. And I don't think that's a falsehood. I don't think they made that up, because for them to actually fly in a priest during Katrina, or in the aftermath of Katrina, and if you know anything about Katrina, that sucker had people locked out of the city for almost 3 months, and it destroyed the city. So them to fly somebody in to reseal whatever was in there, that says something. This is why I don't play with spirits. I listen carefully to horror stories, because you just never know. And I'm curious to see if anybody feels the same way as me. Like, how do you feel about ghost stories and folklore? Do you believe there's some truth to it? Or do you believe it's just all made up wives' tales to scare children or keep people in line? Because there's no way in the world we as human beings can understand every single plane of existence that's out there. And for vampires to have been in our folklore for so long, there's got to be something there, because everything is based in a little bit of truth. But the fact that locals still will not walk in front of that building, whether they're making that choice or it's just something instinctual, I ain't gonna play with that. So comment below and let me know what you thought of this story. Do you believe it's true? And do you want me to share more stories about New Orleans folklore? Because I know I'm a weird kind of storyteller. I always want to give my little 2 cents, 2 bits in there. But let me know what you thought. Okay, so now that I've kind of told you the story that kind of inspired this series, and believe me, you're gonna hear a lot more stories of like this that come from my childhood. I want to get into the actual technical part of the painting. You see me right here outlining the piece with like a small round brush. I believe it's like a number 4. And I know a lot of artists don't do like outlines, but it is part of my style. I tried to do lineless art and it just didn't speak to me. So you can pry my line art out of my cold dead hands, and more than likely I'm gonna be just like them Casket girls and come right on back. Okay. So, and I didn't get a chance to explain it before because I was so engrossed in the story, but I shade my skin tones with like 3 different, pretty much tones of color. I use a medium color as the base, and then I go in with a darker shade. Usually I mix something with Payne's Gray to get it darker. I don't always use black to tint. And then I go in with like a highlighter. In her case, I use pink and a mixture of the purple to make a highlight just so it could pop off. And also I realized while I was doing this, I made a freaking mistake. I made her crown too small because I was like, why are the dimensions looking wrong to me, the proportions? So I had to fix her freaking crown, which scared the hell out of me because I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it right. So I went and got a bowl from the kitchen so that I could draw like a perfect circle, and I put the white down and immediately regretted it. Immediate regret. But I made it work. I had to color match and repaint. And it's a little bit big, but you know what? A crown can be big. A crown can be big. You see how I'm coaching myself through this because I was panicking. I was so mad at myself. And then I wanted to go ahead and give some texture to her corset. And I even messed up with the lines on the cone part of her bra, y'all. And so after this, I'm going to lay this out so I can see what it looks like with the
flowers. See, when you're doing something like this, I can't visualize something. Sometimes you just have to try it out. By me laying it flat, it allows me to see what it would look like with the flowers without actually committing to it. So that's the flower look. Let's try something else. These I think it's glass because it feels really sharp. Crushed glass from like Amazon. And I'm trying a little bit of that on there. I got this little tool that I'm like moving it around with. So let's see if I come up with a pattern with that I like before we even put resin on. Never mind. I just laid out this glass, and I think that this is what we're gonna go with. I think this is what I'm going to go with. I could still add some flowers to it if I wanted to. But the crystals and the crown is definitely happening. I think I am definitely going to go with the combination of the two. I just think that this just gives luxury. Like, it's gonna be so sparkly and pretty on somebody's wall. Like, oh my God, especially when the sides are painted black. You need to build an altar around her, okay? Because she is going to be gorgeous. So I'm not gonna do that in this video. So you're gonna have to come back for part 2 when I resin all 3 pieces. To refresh your memory, I did that one too. I'm gonna resin her, and I'm probably gonna add some rocks to her base as well, so they can all kind of be, ting-a-ling-a-linging together. And then I have the last one over there to do. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, if you learned anything, or if you just laughed at my accent, just please go ahead and like and subscribe, and make sure you comment. I need to know what you guys think. Let's talk, let's communicate. All right. Bye. See you soon.